Your boss calls you aside and says, on the way here, Ralph got in a car accident. He's okay, but he's at the hospital and he won't be able to give the presentation this evening. I want you to give the presentation. Would you be ready for that? Would you be able to give a presentation that you really hadn't prepared for? With Toastmasters, we do go towards that. We have a lot of things that we can do to improve the way we present. One thing I've noticed is that when I started Toastmasters, I was expecting everybody to have ahs and uhs, like I hear a lot of these politicians do. At that time, it didn't bother me. Now it really bothers me because I note all those crutches that they're using. In fact, because of this, I learned early on not to use ahs and uhs. And I would get up and give a speech, and I couldn't think of what to say next. I would just stand there until the thought came to me. Then I would resume the speech. When I sat down, I'd say, oh, what an awful speech. I mean, everybody's going to think all the pauses that I had in there. When I get the evaluation sheets, the comment is, great pause for effect. They didn't know that I was trying to think of what to say. They thought I was letting it sink into them. There are many little things that happen when you're speaking that bring out your abilities. One thing, when you're speaking, you can practice, look in the mirror. You can turn an audio on. You can have videos. But does that truly show how you project to people? How do they perceive you? Does it tell you what kind of an audience you're going to be talking to? None of these things can happen from self-practicing. You need to practice before people. Toastmasters gives us that opportunity. And the written evaluations, the oral evaluations, are the feedback that tell us how we're doing. Especially along with that is using gestures. I learned too, and I have a speech that I call being crazy, a fool. And that is, I exaggerate. I throw my arms out. I'm really way all the place. Because I learned that how far I can go out is too far. So I go back to a medium point, and that gives me the best effective way of presenting. If I'm grabbing the lectern like I've seen a lot of speakers do, no, you learn to get away from that. You've got to be foolish to learn it. Along with that, I've learned the ideas of the rule of threes. You exaggerate. Here's number one. That's when I was young. Here's number two. That's when I'm in middle age. Here, I'm an old guy like I am now. And then if you want to come back, okay, in my middle age, the audience knows where you're at. And you're using threes because that's, for some reason, and I don't think anybody knows exactly why, that is the best number for people to remember. Even a speaker who has a speech that's 45 minutes long, if he gives that speech, he's got three main points. On each of the main points, he's got three sub-points. So that helps you build your speech. The other thing that we do too is, have you ever noticed, a lot of your speakers, especially politicians, they are glued to a lectern. Well, you learn to use the stage. The right side is when you were young. The middle is when you're in school. The left side is when you're starting your business. You can also come forward for a strong point, or you can move back for a weaker point. You can use the stage. Don't be bound in. The biggest thing we have is we have a lot of members who watch us. They have diverse backgrounds, and they will give us evaluations that help us improve. If you're doing something wrong, maybe I'm scratching my ear or something. They can tell you that you're doing this thing and you can work on getting rid of it. It's mainly the idea that practice in front of a group is the thing we do. And we learn a lot of things along with it. In addition to that, we have a guidance setup, which is called Pathways. And it is a written scheme that tells you what to work on. Your gestures, your voice, handling unruly audiences, all kinds of things like that. Any of you, you're going to give a toast at a wedding. You're going to give gifts to the kids at Christmas or on a birthday. You're going to do a lot of things that require you to be in charge. And when this time comes, will you be ready? Will you be up to the task? Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Jim.